On today's show, The Irishman wraps filming. Where did Snoke go to high school? And is Maverick currently flying a cargo plane full of rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong? All that and more on today's Movie Talk right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Collider, a movie talk on this glorious Wednesday. We wear pink on Wednesdays. I am joined by Kristian Harloff. Over there is first-timer Dean Collins and returning champion, the very svelte, cardio-tastic Michael Rapaport. Thank you, boys, for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I appreciate
you're
that.
Looking skinny, Mike.
I've been feeling good. I've been eating good, working out. You know,
You've been hitting the bag, right? You've been boxing.
Boxing, yeah.
You got to get on the Stairmaster with me.
Oh, did they say that you look good, or did they say that I look good?
No,
they
you
didn't
do. You look good, but I'm saying that could be like you
But
previously.
he didn't compliment the way you look.
They're saying like because previously you might not have looked so
No,
good.
he's
Now
saying
you're
you
looking
look
really good.
But he didn't say Dean, first-time guest, who should
No.
keep his fucking trap shut.
Like, don't
Looks good anything.
I felt like that would have been an
early.
inappropriate way to introduce Dean. To be fair, I don't have
Yeah.
any camera comparison for him. I do for you.
Yes.
I've seen some of our episodes last
Excuse
year.
me.
You look better.
You look better.
2018 Michael
I have.
is doing better
That's your
than
year.
2017 Michael
Mr. Ellis.
from a body standpoint. Yes, Christian, you had a question.
Yeah, can this show go 2 hours, please?
This show is going to be.
I don't know what you're
45
talking. I'm going to
minutes.
back up
All right.
from what you said to you said back to you. I look better than what?
Then a couple of your appearances in 2017.
Did I not look good?
You look good. You look better.
You looked
now.
okay.
Yeah, better now is always
you
a
looked
good
okay.
thing.
Good. There's better. There's
better now?
best.
I'll be
But
honest.
I'll be honest with you,
Yeah.
but better now is like, why didn't anybody say, you know what, you need to take care of yourself?
I've been telling you that for months.
Because you'd only been on 5 times. Once you get to 7 times, then we can tell you look like shit.
I think there's problem weights. I don't think you've ever flirted with that, but I have good news for everybody out there is that even if you think, hey, I'm really beefy or I look old, don't worry. Martin Scorsese can de-age you. That's what he's doing with The Irishman with his cast, including Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino. The movie has officially wrapped production, and it's set for release in late 2019, probably to get that Oscar push. As we mentioned the last time Mr. Rapaport was on the show, when he was probably about 10 pounds heavier, we said that the movie is going to be released in theaters for a couple weeks, and now that you're skinny Michael Rapaport, I want to ask you this again. The Irishman, it wraps filming. It's Martin Scorsese. You love Scorsese. You love all of this cast. My question to you, the de-aging technology, this movie is going to rely heavily on it. We're going to have 2 different time periods. So we have these older gangsters, and then we have the younger version of them. Is the de-aging technology going to have a breakthrough on this movie?
Well, I hope so. And if anybody go get it right and you know make sure that it's perfect, it'll be Martin Scorsese with Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, and the great Robert De Niro. The thing that I'm frustrated about already with this film is, though, it's early 2018 now. Why do we have to wait till 2019? Because this is like, that's a year, it's over a year away. Because if it's late 2019...
It's good, probably for what he was just talking about. I mean, the amount of the technology that they're putting into it probably takes a little bit more time to do all this stuff to make it look right. Because if they just kind of normally, as you know, you can go anywhere between 8 months to a year to get the thing out there. But to put it out there and really get it right, because you don't want this movie to come out because it's coming out on Netflix. You don't want it to come out and then you right away like that looks terrible. Yeah. Because they're starting to get it better and better and better. I know you don't, as you say, fuck with the Marvel movies as much, but like if you look at what they're doing there, from Robert Downey Jr. and then they did it with Kurt Russell. It's getting better and better and better.
The de-aging?
Yeah, it's getting better and better and better.
De-aging has been a revolutionary thing in movies the last couple of years. I mean, they did it okay with Star Wars Rogue One, right?
You got to mention Star Wars.
It's got
boom.
We have tons of Star Wars to get to today. You're gonna
you
love.
have to mention. Do you guys mention Star Wars every day?
It's constantly going off in my brain.
Yeah, there will be a story about Star Wars today. Yes,
because we're 5 minutes in. Like it's got to be Star Wars every single time. Like, and I you know how I feel about it.
But I think I was pretty relevant because Star Wars has pioneered a lot of technology in movies, and the de-aging technology is right up there with it.
Yes.
How they made Grand Moff Tarkin look younger.
Who?
They also did that with Kurt Russell. They also are going to do that with these characters. So, Dean, I know you're probably a huge fan of this stuff too.
Yeah.
Just on its ear, you read this story, you hear me talk about it. Does this seem like something that is viable to you?
Well, first of all, I didn't even know they were using the de-aging technology for them. I mean, they look pretty much like themselves. I mean, are they doing it from that photo? Because
No,
that's
no,
them.
no. That's they're gonna have. I think that they're going back and forth in time.
Oh,
and I
they're
believe-
doing it for like okay.
Yeah, yes.
Look, I mean, Scorsese, he can do anything. I think and give him the time. Like, why? I don't know why you're racing for this to come out. But
Because
like,
I
they just
want the
wrapped.
movie coming
okay,
out.
but let them like do their thing. Like Scorsese, he's
I say Scorsese. It's not.
He's right though. It's Scorsese.
it's Scorsese. So I mean,
Sorry.
if you want him to cast you in a movie, you should probably get that
But
one
you
right.
gotta just let it tomato. It's
No,
He's
I
asking.
mean,
he was trying to debate. I got to be honest.
I say. How do you know it's Scorsese?
because I know
I'm
the
taking
guy,
his
so I had
masterclass
lunch with him
right
last
now.
week.
with Marty?
Yeah.
Oh man, I love him.
Yeah.
That's really how
Yeah.
you know Scorsese or Scorsese is if you get to call him Marty. Christian, these guys are pretty
Wow.
high on his ability
Yeah.
to use technology, and I think he's underrated in that respect, to be honest with you. When you see a movie like Hugo, the way that he utilized innovative technology from the past, that was a love letter to cinema in general, and it took us into the future with it as well. Do you think he's the right guy? Because we always think in names like Steven Spielberg, or God forbid I say this name, George Lucas. When we come to effects, Martin Scorsese's got a pretty good track record with this.
Well, yeah, but not only that, I always take this quote from Leonardo DiCaprio from Wolf of Wall Street, is that the dude is in the 70s and he's still making punk rock. And he's able to do that because he doesn't just do one particular thing. He's a master of film. He's a master of film. So he learns what's going on today. He doesn't still make the movies
Right,
he did
no,
in the
right.
70s. He puts his stamp on it, but he uses stuff that works for today. And that's
Yeah.
why he's a master producer, master director, master storyteller.
Truly a master.
A master.
And when was the last like bad movie he had? Like to me, Spielberg has been slipping. I don't think Spielberg is at the top of his game like
Yeah,
he
he's got
used
some
to be.
misses, yeah.
I mean, really, I really wasn't a fan.
He's a little
of
bit
The
more
Post.
active than Scorsese, though.
He is, but every time Scorsese, we're just going to use his. The
I
way
say
that it's-
Scorsese.
You could say that. That's why
So does
you're
he.
not
It's
in
two
one of his
versus
films
two.
yet.
It's two versus two.
But
You fuck you.
But no, I really think that like every single thing is just a hit with him, and I've been. Just,
The thing is, he's just got on a Goodfellas kick.
No, I'm not on a
No,
Goodfellas
he's
kick. I've been-
he's 28,
That's
and for
been
like
one of-
he loves film, but like
Yeah.
he's just gotten in that. Like
No,
there's a
man,
certain
no.
thing that Goodfellas and there's certain Scorsese films, and I don't care. There's a certain thing that'll turn over, and there's tones and innuendos that are in his films, and you love movie. He
I do.
loves movies, but he's definitely in a heavy Goodfellas kick. He's like
Right
the
now,
the
but
funny
I've
funny
been.
how scene is like just sort of resonating.
No,
But-
no, no, no,
But
no,
here's
no,
the
no.
20
difference,
years
though.
fucking later.
No,
I
man,
think the
that's
difference,
bullshit.
though, with like say Scorsese and Spielberg,
Yeah.
is that Spielberg is still going. I mean, and as he should be, going after the big budget kind of huge movies. Where you look at what Scorsese's doing, like, because Silence was brilliant, but nobody
agree.
saw it. No one saw
yeah.
that movie, and that's one of the reasons that this whole conversation came to be with Netflix. Because 5 years ago, you're never going to hear about Scorsese debuting a movie with Robert De Niro and Pesci online. I mean,
my
not online,
God.
but on
Is it
Netflix.
not going to play in the theaters?
No,
They
it's
don't
on
know
shit.
yet.
It's-
It's going to have a
Netflix.
2-week theatrical
I'm
run.
going in the theater.
Because they want to get Oscar
I'm going in the
consideration.
theater.
But
And
it's
what,
made-
he retired like 99, 2000, Pesci?
Yeah, right.
And
He
this
was-
is like his first thing back.
And who better to get him back than,
my God,
than
yeah.
Scorsese? But I think that because of that, there's just a difference as far as storytelling. And there's, because I still think Spielberg has it when it comes to movies. You know, when you look at stuff like The Post and movies along that nature, I think I didn't love The Post, but I thought that it was still really good filmmaking in the way
agree.
that he did. It's the blockbuster stuff that I'm really excited for Ready Player One.
I don't know how I feel about it.
I want to see how it is because
I do too.
I might be in your camp to where it's like maybe he just stays away from the blockbusters as much as focus on it, because Saving Private Ryan is one of my
Oh
favorite
my
movies
God.
of
I mean,
all
of
time.
course.
Yeah.
Right, but we're talking about the director and whether they still have it or not. I think it's fair to ask the question, even if they are legends, of
Yeah.
somebody like De Niro or Pacino. It's certainly Pesci,
Sure.
who's
Yeah.
pretty much on his Michael Jordan playing for the Wizards run, where he's pulled out of retirement.
Uh-huh.
He's going to come back to try to win another championship with these guys. De Niro and Pacino have been making a lot of movies recently. Some of them are good, some of them are not.
Yep.
Why is The Irishman going to be one of their greats?
I mean, Pesci and De Niro back at it with Scorsese. That
And
that
Al
alone,
Pacino,
it's like,
who's
and
never
Al
worked
Pacino,
with Scorsese.
for sure. But
It's their milieu. We're not doing an Asian
Yeah.
karate film with Martin Scorsese, Al Pacino, and Robert De Niro. This is their bread and butter. It's gangster shit.
Right.
It's a story. I read the book. It's a story that spans time. This is in the sweet spot. And we're like underselling the fact that it's fucking Al, Big
Right.
Al, and Bob and Joe and all the other, I'm sure there's all the other people, like surprises, like little things in there. This is like slow pitch down the middle.
Yeah, it's based on the book I Heard You Paint Houses, and the story is of hitman Frank Sheeran, who
And who's that? Is that De Niro?
I don't know who's playing Sheeran, but he's known as the Irishman, and he claimed before he died in 2003, I believe, to have been the one that killed Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh.
So to explore that story, I mean,
Right,
that's one of the most famous gangster mysteries of all time. So the material is there, Christian.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like to jump back into the fact that we see, De Niro and Pacino have had some kind of misses. They haven't had misses when it's come to TV movies. Like when you look at the HBO, you had
I loved
Master of Lies,
the Wizard of Lies,
and then Pacino was.
He's playing Paterno coming up
Paterno.
too.
That's
And
right.
he
It was
also
Kevorkian.
he played
Right.
he played the guy with the hair, the Phil Spector.
Spectre, right? So
Angels,
Angels Over America.
one of his
Yes.
greater performances of the
That's
last
what I'm
one.
saying.
seen
Is
the
that so?
actual ones, yeah.
They now being able to shoot for this type of style, they've kind of become masters of their own in that particular medium. So this makes sense to me. When I heard it, I don't disagree with you that if you can find it in the theater and you can catch it and you want to see it,
I'm in the theater.
Well, you should. If you
the
can,
first 2 days.
Yeah, if you can find it, and then you should see it in the theater. But I also love the fact that I can just watch it at home
sure.
now on Netflix anytime I want.
The thing that I don't like about the Netflix at home with the Scorsese, like he is a true another one, a master grain in his films. You look at, I mean, this is when he was shooting on film. Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, Mean Streets, Raging Bull, Goodfellas. The grain and texture when you're watching the pure cut of a Scorsese film, and with these HD TVs, when it strips even old films that were shot on actual film, and it strips them and it turns them into this like 4D dimension. I can't stand that.
That's the smoothing thing.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys have you seen that, like where it
it's
turns
a
into the
smoothing
soap
thing,
opera.
but it
yeah.
also can relate to the effects too. Because when
Yeah.
you see a movie in the theater, and like King Kong's a huge example to me because I see King Kong and I see Andy Serkis acting out King Kong. I'm like, this movie looks great.
Yeah.
Saw it on the small screen on my TV. The effects don't
not
look
terrible.
as good. I worry about the de-aging with that.
I agree.
That for sure. But the
That's
thing
why it's taking so long. That's why it's taking long to
exactly.
perfect it.
But the thing with Scorsese being on film and that grain and that texture that you see, I mean, I love film. Like I love watching it on that medium. But he did prove himself with Wolf of Wall Street going to digital. Like that was his first movie on
But
digital.
we saw it in the theaters first.
That's true. But I still think that movie, like you could put,
holds up.
pop that on Netflix
I have
and
a
it's
question.
still
I have a question.
Kills
It's
it.
nothing to do with anything here. I'm sorry. And maybe we could ask
Star
Mark
Wars was
Fernandez.
directed by George Lucas.
Not Star Wars.
Oh.
I got to be honest. I'm not a germaphobe by any means, but there's so many fucking fingerprints on this table, and I feel like I know you said you wiped it down 2 days ago.
Our man Copster wiped it down probably 24 hours ago.
Okay, but how many shows and people with their little dirty fingers have been shot here since then?
But fingers of all sizes, first of all, Michael. They're not all little.
No, but this is, I mean, for a successful show, when you have guests, I think every day before the show, and I don't care if it's you or you as the host, like it should be like I shouldn't be sitting here going like, whose little fucking dirty little fingers am I
Why don't you
trying
get
to
us some
avoid?
wet wipes, man? What do you want?
You know what we could do?
I'm
like,
uncomfortable.
How hockey takes like a timeout or like a
That's
period
right.
and they have like a Zamboni
Yep.
come in. What we can do is as I read this next story, we can have our Zamboni come in and just wipe down just Michael's area. Unless Dean, you're
No,
uncomfortable.
I'm
It doesn't.
comfortable.
You don't feel
Perfectly
like I
comfortable.
noticed your side isn't as gaudy and nasty as like
I wiped
this
it down
side.
for myself.
Yeah. Can
Because
I
this
be-
is disgusting.
Can I be honest with you? Most of these fingerprints are mine. So
No, I mean they're all
I'm
the way
pretty
out
clean.
here. It's like little little rat feet like in here. Like it's
Like Elton John came in and started
Yeah.
slamming down.
all right. Well, while we get the rat feet cleaned up around Michael's desk, we're going to move on to a story. Hey, Christian, how are your shoulders feeling right now? Because you're going to be carrying the heavy load on this next sale. In a news story with Entertainment Weekly, there was an interview with Andy Serkis, and it was revealed that there was actually a lot of discussion about, prepare yourself, Mr. Rapaport, Snoke and his backstory. What is it leading up to The Last Jedi? And that story could be used sometime in the future. Speaking about Andy Serkis said, we wanted him to have a great deal of mystery, but JJ and I discussed it. Ryan and I did discuss backstories to him, where he came from. He has been asked not to share anything, obviously, should they want to bring him back in any way in a prequel or whatever. He went on to say that Snoke is at least a couple 100 years old. So, Christian, you hear this, and I know you may have been one of these people that were disappointed with how Snoke actually is playing out or did play out in the new trilogy. What do you make of this?
I make of it that they still it sounds like a broken record. They just don't have a plan as far as what it is. Maybe J.J. Abrams in the third movie then decides, oh yeah, we're gonna announce his his backstory now because obviously the fans were pissed off about it, and I can actually reveal it. I don't think he should come back in the third movie. I think that would be silly. But I do think, as far as like him appearing, that's the beauty of what they've been able to do with this entire medium with Star Wars, whether it's books or comics or even prequels, or whether it's going to be Rian Johnson's new trilogy, or if it will be the Benioff and Weiss, the Game of Thrones guys, if they're going to have him show up in that, because it's a couple hundred years. We don't know when it's going to land in the timeline. So it's great to hear that they talked about it. But I also think that it's a bit of a jip that we didn't get it, or if we never get it. And I also think that there's something to be said that every character, whatever movie you're working on, that you might have you'll have a backstory for your characters. I'm sure you've gone through that a billion times. That you never really see it on screen. So like even when we had an interview, a couple of actors, I don't know if we aired it yet, so I don't want to ruin it, but a couple actors came in and they were asking about, did you work on this particular backstory? And they were like, yeah, we did. We discussed it for a little bit, but it doesn't appear in the movie. It's for the actor. But Snoke was a different situation. We wanted to hear about that because of all the theories, and it's one of the things the fans were pissed at. It felt like they kind of got slapped in the face. Like we were so invested, and you just said, it doesn't matter. He's mysterious. Like, yeah, sometimes you got to give it to us, and I think that it's great that they know, but come on.
Dean, was that one of the things that stood out to you about The Last Jedi? Is it the appearance of Snoke or the lack thereof of a backstory?
That didn't bother me.
There's our man.
To be honest, that's perfect.
I mean, it's not so much to ask for. I'd like to do it myself, actually, because you got your little fingerprints on it. Please continue. Sorry, God, I wanted to interrupt the show.
Do your thing.
The floor is yours, Dean.
Yeah, no, I was.
God forbid you get another I know I've been here 6 times, but I am a legitimate real person, and God forbid
And a thin
you get,
person.
Another A-lister like myself. People aren't going to want to deal with this, particularly like a female, like a star. I don't think
A-lister was. I like that you said A-lister.
Thank you.
But no, I was saying that didn't bother me. I'm not I'm not a diehard Star Wars fan. I like the old ones. I like A New Hope. I like Return of the Jedi. All those. I was a fan of J.J. Abrams' Star Wars. I thought this last one, honestly, I did not like it. I wasn't a fan. I thought it was cheesy. I thought that the what was it, like them communicating with each other,
Force Skype,
whatever that was, where they hear each other.
Which actually was orchestrated by Snoke, who
was that okay?
I mean, it was kind of his idea to have them talk so we could get Rey over the dark side.
I thought that was kind of whatever, but I have no comment on the Snoke thing.
Well, let me ask both of you guys this, but Michael, I'll start with you. This is less about Snoke in particular and more about, there's so many times that we see villains in movies and they get too much of a backstory, where there's something that is pure and darkly romantic about somebody like Nurse Ratched, where we don't know where she came from. She just is evil. Right. She is the villain. She is the antagonist in this movie. And when you explore that thread too much, sometimes you can lose some of the mystique. Is that what do you think is happening right now with some of these Star Wars characters?
Well, I'm not Mr. Star Wars, and I don't know where people get the information. I don't know where they sell the Cliff Notes. I don't know if you get it online or whatever. But I think good storytelling is good storytelling. Good acting is good acting, and good execution, will conquer all. So I think it varies. I think, certain things, there's such a pressure. There seems to be such a pressure, and there's such a buildup to these movies. There's such a discussion, the casting, every single thing that goes into it, that when it finally comes there, the anticipation, it's hard to live up to the hype and the expectations, especially with the SW.
I mean, you can look at this also from a fan perspective, Christian and Dean, where you worry that Lucasfilm is going to become too reactionary, where they see what fans said about the movie. They're actually looking at the comments online and they're saying, well, now we're letting this dictate where our storylines are going to go from here. Is that the fear with Snoke? Is that fans are saying, we wanted more from Snoke, and so now they feel pressure to put a backstory into a future movie?
I think it's the opposite, to be honest with you. I think that was what happened from the first movie, The Force Awakens, is that there were a lot of fans that were curious, the stuff that JJ had set up and were interested and wanted to learn more about it, and the fact that they really didn't listen to fans at all. They didn't try to deliver. Of course, they tried to deliver. Rian Johnson's a great storyteller, but they didn't try to if people wanted to know about Snoke, if people wanted to know what was going to go on with the lightsaber, if they wanted to know about Rey's parents, it was more of like, nah, we're just going to do this. Nothing was given to the fans that they were kind of hoping for, so they didn't listen to it. Now, whether or not they do that this time around, I don't know if that would be smart. Now, you always want to make sure it serves your story. You don't want to ever just say, well, the fans want this, so we have to make it and just make it fan service. That's dangerous. But my example to that is like, so a lot of Game of Thrones fans that were fans of the books didn't love the last season because they felt that it was too much fan service stuff that the fans wanted because it wasn't what George R. R. Martin had the way he put it in the books. I loved this season because a lot of it, for the majority, it was always doom and gloom for the majority of that season. So I wanted to see sometimes the good guys win. That's just kind of storytelling I like. And and there were questions I hoped would be answered in that show, and they were. So I think sometimes it's good to say to the fans, you get rewarded to do this.
Yeah,
you
I
get
hear that.
rewarded for listening. So, yeah.
And I think backstories are important with movies like Star Wars and things that are so precious to people. But just in regular narrative film that come out, like I don't need to know like Nurse Ratched. I don't need to know where you came from. I don't need I like that it's just that's what you get. That if it's done right, that's great. But with things like Star Wars and Game of Thrones, like you read the books and all that stuff, like
that's
that's a different story. But I think also with social media and whatnot, it's tricky because they're really listening to the fans and like they're they don't want to piss anyone off, and that's
It's also tough with social media because now if there is a backstory to any villain or hero, we're gonna know. We're all gonna know about it, even if we didn't read the books. Like back in the dark ages of Star Wars in the '90s, when we didn't have new movies coming out, we just had novels we could read.
Right.
You could make up the fiction in your head, and there was nobody really to tell you, hey, that's wrong, or you're going down a different path, unless they actually read the books. So you could choose to go down that rabbit hole, or you could just live in this other, suspended animation of making up your own stories. Now we don't have that ability. How is that going to impact episode 9 for you? Or do you still care about seeing it after the disappointment for you that was The Last Jedi?
To be honest, I really don't. I have to
Because
say, I
JJ's
really
coming
don't.
back, so
I know that I'm excited for. He's directing it, right?
He's directing
Okay,
it.
I'm down with that. I don't know, Rian Johnson. It looked
Too
looked
different?
great.
Too
It
different
looked
for you?
amazing. Yeah, it was too different for me. I don't know. I just thought it was a little cheesier. Those little. Well, I'm
Porgs?
not. What is it? Orcs?
Porg. But I mean, what's
Porg?
the difference between like a Porg and an Ewok? The Porgs didn't bother me.
But the Ewoks. Are
Ewoks
like,
can
it's
fight and
classic.
defend their homeland against the Empire.
I know, but I
Force
didn't mind.
coming.
I know everybody had problems with the Porgs. That was like, and I definitely had
I just
issues
thought
with
it
The
was,
Last Jedi. But
I thought, look, the visual effects were great. Like, as far, I'm not saying like it's a bad movie, but just comparing it to.
What were you on when you saw it, bro?
I wasn't on anything.
Are you usually on something when you go see a film in the cinemas?
No, I mean, the only thing I would be on is just smoking weed, which I was all about smoking weed. I'm 6 months sober. I feel like this is like AA now. Like I have the floor now. But
what were you on when you saw the
I
Star
saw
Wars
nothing.
movie,
I just
brother?
told you I was 6 months. I'm 6 months clean from weed, so I'm good. I'm just on a natural high from it. So maybe that's why I didn't like it that much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know
Appreciate
what,
it.
kids?
Love that
Just
mic
because
so I
it's
can buy
legal in
the
our state
pants
doesn't
and throw 'em
mean
right under that
you
button.
need to pay attention to it. So we're
Yes.
going to move on from Star Wars. We're going to go to something that's a little more original feeling, and that is going to be Brad Peyton, who is doing the upcoming Rampage movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, is now signed on to direct Epoch Index, which is a movie that Fox just landed the rights to. It is a short story by Christian Cantrell. Here's the log line, and the movie's just been picked up by Fox. So tell me where I lose you guys.
Okay.
A CIA analyst is tasked with tracking down a flashy assassin whose targets seem random. Connected only by a series of numbered tags left on each victim, this CIA analyst comes to a mind-boggling conclusion. The targets are being sent to the assassin from the future by her. No release date has been announced. for
Who's
the movie.
her?
Who's her?
The CIA analyst.
I thought it was The Rock.
Quinn Mitchell. No, The Rock is in. That's where I lost you. Brad Peyton is doing the Rampage movie with The Rock. This movie does not have The Rock, but he's the director of a movie with The Rock. Then Brad Peyton's going to be going on to do this Epoch Index.
No cast
movie.
yet.
So we don't have a cast yet. We don't have.
I feel like I would
release
see
date.
you in this movie. I feel like this is a movie you'd pop up in.
That's kind of
Wait,
what I was.
is The
hitting at,
Rock
yeah.
directing this film?
no.
No, man.
The
He's
Rock
got
is
nothing
not
to do with
involved
this
at all.
film. He's in Rampage.
Yeah.
He's got nothing to do with this. It's the same
Well, you
director.
said when did I lost me? You lost me way earlier than I thought.
Did you get a little bit starry-eyed when I said The Rock?
I love The Rock. I
who
love The
doesn't
Rock.
love The Rock?
Who doesn't love The Rock?
Yeah.
Like he's like consensusly like, how could you not love The Rock?
Right.
He's the biggest movie star in the world right now. And so for Brad Peyton to be doing two of his more recent movies, Brad Peyton also directed San Andreas.
Okay.
And now he's going to be doing Rampage when it comes out a week earlier, April 13th. So now Brad Peyton is the director who's branching away from The Rock. And The Rock could be cast in this, but he's doing this futuristic sci-fi thriller movie. Seems a little bit like Looper in reverse, where
I was gonna
you're
say, yeah.
getting targets sent from the future, but the CIA analyst is the one that did it. So this has shades of Memento, where I don't know that I was doing this, but I'm helping myself out
cool.
with something. What do you make of this, Dean?
I was in until you said future. I was kind of like, okay, let's see where this is going. I don't know. I love movies like Zodiac. I thought that was like a super underrated movie.
What the fuck does Zodiac
I don't know.
have
I
to
just
do
don't
with
like
the
the futuristic element.
It gets.
It just gets a little too.
You're
like,
rolling the dice
I
when you
wanna
get
see
into
the
the future.
I want to see the
I
CIA
want here and
agent,
now.
like getting the tags, seeing all what's going
That
on.
I got because that was like kind of reminding me of Seven. But then when we get into the future, it's like
Yo,
we're
you
like,
weren't even
here's
on
the
board
dice.
for the summary. You thought The Rock was in this whole thing.
Well,
so
yeah, I
you
don't
weren't
know.
even
I
listening
thought
to the thing.
this was starring The Rock. So
No,
It
unfortunately,
probably will be,
yeah.
but not yet. You cast it from the future.
So you're
I would
saying
be out with
the
The Rock
main
being
part
in
is
it.
open. So right now, it could be between me and The Rock.
Yes.
Especially because I'm looking lean and mean.
You
Right.
both have an issue. I don't want to call it a deficiency, but Quinn Mitchell is apparently a female.
but he could still, the Rock could still pop.
Oh,
in
you
there.
could do that.
He could play the assassin, perhaps.
Quinn Mitchell, the character,
Yeah,
is a female.
that's what I'm
Yeah, the
led
CIA.
to believe.
But that I'll tell you, when you got me was the future.
Okay. There we go. Future. All right,
Yeah. Well,
I'll
because
move
the thing is, I think because Looper, you bring up Looper.
Yeah.
That movie was fantastic.
That was a dope movie.
And it just depends now how they do it. My problem is when they start throwing 100, 150, 200 million dollars into movies like with this kind of
Yeah.
premise, you don't need it. You could do this movie for 60 million, 80 million dollars, depending on the star that you get. And you can make a really cool, intriguing sci-fi film with exactly what you want from the movie.
Yeah.
You could get that kind of the intrigue. You want a kind of complex story where you're invested in it. And if you happen to throw that into some sci-fi, why not? As long as it's intriguing. And that's kind of what I hope it is.
And picking up from the Zodiac point that you made too, it's like Zodiac can be looked at as a time traveling movie only because we're going forward in time.
Yeah.
Because it starts in one place and then we're tracking this killer through
Yep.
decades, it seems like. So if you have the same kind of thing where I'm working on a mystery that may or may not involve time travel, but it also is about me and why am I helping myself out
Right.
here? Why am I helping out possibly this assassin? What are these people doing? That's my question about this movie. Who are the victims
Right.
of this assassin? Are they
It's a
actually
Minority
bad
Report a little
people?
I
bit
was just
too.
going to
Yeah.
mention Minority Report
Yeah.
because I love Minority Report,
Yeah.
but I just hope that they focus on the characters and don't. They're not like, we got this big budget. We're gonna like totally fuck with the whole future and
Right.
the VFX. Like,
Are we
the
allowed to
ideas-
curse on this show?
You asked that now after 7 appearances?
Well, because you said fuck
Well,
just
I was
now.
hearing you say it, so I thought I'd take my own lead.
Just go.
Are
for
we
it.
allowed
You're-
to curse?
You're
I
asking
mean,
if he's allowed to
I
curse.
prefer
Yeah, Michael, come on.
the PG-13 method.
Okay,
But are
I'm
there
gonna- I'm
kids?
gonna
Are there
tone it back.
kids at home watching
There's
this?
probably a lot of kids.
But
watching
why are
this.
they aren't at school? They're watching this now.
A lot
probably
of
the
kids
replay.
are homeschooled now.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, if they're homeschooled, they've heard a lot worse than some of the things we've said.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, we can
Are
Are we talking about like actors, like actor kids, like real kids at home are watching this?
There's probably a lot of high school musical kids who go to like those special high schools.
Oh,
just
they
for
should.
arts.
They've heard it all.
Did you go to one of those schools for arts?
No, I
Were
didn't
you
go to-
trained? But you were classically trained in acting from an early age, weren't you?
No, not classically trained. I went to I graduated from Martin Luther King High School, which is directly across the street from LaGuardia High School, the school that Marlon Wayans, Omar Epps, the Chalamet kid went to, or the kid who-
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, right across the street. But my school was very bad, very bad. Martin Luther King High School. It's actually no longer exists. It's like sub schools. But I wasn't thinking about acting.
But then you went to
then.
Fairfax in Los Angeles, and then you
That
got
was in the
kicked out.
10th
You didn't
grade.
graduate there, though.
10th grade there, 11th grade Erasmus Hall High School in Brooklyn, 12th grade Martin Luther King High School in New York, right across the street from LaGuardia, which brings us back to this whole show and Collider and filmmaking and acting and Omar Epps, Marlon Wayans,
Right.
Adrian Brody, Chalamet. Nicki Minaj went to that school.
You seem to be a guy that lights up more when we talk about original movies than like the sequels and stuff like that.
That's been the thing since we've come on this show.
Right.
Every time I come on the show, like I glaze over when we talk about the Star Wars 9.
But this one you didn't glaze over about because it's original. It's just bigger budget.
It's a bigger budget, but I got confused when you get to the
Confused, but it's
future. I
not-
got like a future.
But don't you think that even though, because, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that, again, you hear Star Wars, you hear Marvel, like you said, you're checking emails at that point. But movies like this, even though, but they're original ideas. Now, they're not on the level like what Scorsese's movie is going to be like, but this is, I think one of the things people always complain about is all you get are either Marvel, Star Wars,
Right.
DC, or sequels, remakes. I want somebody to
That's
see
cool.
this movie.
I'm with
I
you on
agree.
that.
Yeah,
An
that's-
original idea, that's cool.
Right.
I'm so sick of the sequels and remakes. I can't. I'm
Me
like,
too, man. That's enough
How
is
many
enough.
more?
Man.
Okay,
Are we
if you
gonna
guys are
ruin-
sick with sequels and remakes, then don't worry. Our next story is really going to please you. Top Gun 2 just started shooting. It's called Top Gun Maverick. It is starring Tom Cruise once again.
Wow.
Details are sketchy as to who else might be returning, but it has officially started. It seems that the reason why Cruise took so long is because they wanted to get a sequel that was right for him, and also a sequel that would allow him to reteam with Oblivion director Joseph Kosinski. Right now, the movie is set for release on July 12th, 2019. Here's the interesting question, Michael, because I know that you are a huge fan of the late, great Tony Scott, who directed the first Top Gun.
Yes.
Is there anybody that could succeed him in doing another Top Gun movie? Or do you think because Tony Scott was such a singular director with a great eye for action and drama that we should just let this sleeping dog lie?
Well,
in
he
Top
was
Gun?
supposed to do the second one also before he passed. That's one of the reasons it kind of stalled for so long, just a tidbit.
I mean, I think there's a lot of great filmmakers, and I think Tony Scott, his love of film and his love of filmmakers, he'd want to see this movie get made. So I don't think he and his legacy, and out of respect to him, I don't know who that would be. I mean, you guys would be better apt at saying there's so many young filmmakers and that could take it to a 2019 level and all the effects and all that stuff. And I think that would, I mean, obviously Tony Scott, he's sorely missing. He's such a game changer, like an undervalued game changer with the action and the energy and the stuff that he brought to film. But I'm sure they'll get somebody special.
The kinetic energy he was able to bring to action movies, but also doing an action comedy. Beverly Hills Cop 2 is my favorite movie of the franchise, and a big reason why is because he engineered. It wasn't just better action, though. Like, it's really funny, too. When you work with him on True Romance, what did you realize about that guy as he's directing you in your scenes that's
energy.
different?
Energy, like the way his energy on the set never dipped. My personal experience with Tony Scott and True Romance was this. I was, I think, 24, 25. I don't remember how old I was. But it was obviously the biggest film that I ever done with the biggest sort of the amount of stars. And I was at a point where I had done some really good stuff as an actor, but I was young. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And the thing that I always valued from Tony Scott is I would ask him, I want to try this in this scene. And he would say, good, do that. And I would say, I want to try this and that in this scene. And he would say, that doesn't work, but keep coming to me, kid. And the fact that he embraced my ideas, some he liked, some he didn't like, and he didn't stifle me, just say your lines. It was a big thing for me at the time because it helped me find my voice and my sort of myself as an actor and like my confidence as a young actor, and especially on that set when it was so many stars and it was such a precious, exciting time for that script. There was no Collider and stuff like that at the time, but like that script got around. Everybody auditioned about it. And all the actors that I'd come across at the time, in the little community of Hollywood at the time when it felt a little smaller, everybody's like, did you go in for that? Did you go in for that? And, and it was such a hype around Tarantino. And then when Tony got the script and then Christian Slater, and then like you'd go to the set and like Val Kilmer would be there and Samuel Jackson would be there and, this one and that one. And Patricia Arquette was like just off of Indian Runner, which was a small film that, got a lot of hype and excitement. And it just was a cool time. But for him to like sort of embrace me and like let me have a little say or give me the impression that he was having me have a say was a big deal for me.
Isn't that an underrated quality of directors, too? And I think Tony Scott probably utilized that very well in the first Top Gun, where you had a lot of Hollywood stars coming together for the first time, is just having a nice presence, like a bedside manner almost, or being a glue guy in the
Bedside
locker room.
manner.
When you help everybody, it's not even in the actual scenes when the cameras are rolling. It's what do you do
it's
during
in
your
between
downtime?
take.
Right.
It's between takes. Like there was always smoke in his films. He always had like there was smoke on the set. Now they probably could CGI it, but like you know, he'd be like, more smoke, less smoke, you know, shut up. But it wasn't like shut up, you know, where you felt mean. Like, or you felt like you were being reprimanded.
It was just your dad saying, "Guys, it's time to stop playing right now. We got to get to the."
He was great, man. And just a great energy and just a, you know, like he was just beloved.
Yeah.
He was cool, man. He was a good dude.
Well, it's funny though too when you say that. I mean, and again, you've got the experience here, but what you would assume with directors, like, because the thing that stood out that what you were just talking about when you see, because I'm sure there are a lot of directors that are just to say to actors, "Shut up, do your line." I think that because and to be fair to some of those people, you probably get so many actors that I want to do this, I want to change that. And
There's a way to do it.
There's a way to do it. That's where I was going to go with that.
Ephron, the same thing.
Right.
When I worked with her on a movie that wasn't that great, but it's actually better than it got received. Lucky Numbers. And I would ask her a question or ask her about a line or ask her about something, and she would say, "You know what? I don't know. I don't know right now, but I'm going to figure it out." Where some directors
Her
will be
etiquette
like,
was good.
They'll either say yes, no, or they're so stressed out. But she was comfortable to say, "I don't know. We'll figure it out." Or "I don't know. Let's talk about it later, and we'll make sure." Or "I don't know. What do you think, Michael?" And you know, like Dino, you know, as a young actor, like that's all you want. You want to feel like someone believes in you and that they have confidence in you, whether you're the biggest part or the smallest part. You don't want to feel like you're walking on eggshells and like, can I approach this director? Like, yo, you're my coach. I got to be able to talk to you, and it ain't junior high school. Like we're professionals here. So she was cool with that too.
Yeah, it's one of the things you see, and I know you're a huge NBA fan too, where players are comfortable talking to even a coach that is a legendary figure like a Popovich, but also they allow themselves to be coached. That was the great thing about Tim Duncan. He always allowed himself to be reprimanded in front of everybody else and not push back against it. Dean, as a younger actor, I hesitate to ask you this question because I'm nervous about the answer. You look at Top Gun. You're still in your 20s. You look at Top Gun. Is that a relic from the 80s, or is that still a culturally relevant movie that deserves a sequel?
To be totally honest, I have not seen Top Gun.
Wow.
This is fine.
That's me being totally honest with you.
I'm going to breathe. I'm going to be okay. Do you know what happens in the middle?
I really can't tell you.
Okay,
I do.
nobody spoil it for me. You got to watch. That's your homework today.
I'm like
is watch
30
that movie.
years late to the party. But
Come back on the show and talk
I
about
will.
Top Gun.
I know that's one. Where I'm like, how have I not seen Top
It's
Gun?
funny though, because I don't
Well,
think
you just got an assignment.
I still think it's a relevant film though.
Yeah.
I mean, like everyone knows Top Gun.
Well, they're gonna do. I don't know if this rumor still. If they're doing a lot with the drones in this movie, from what they.
Yeah, it's going to be a current movie where Tom Cruise is a flight instructor at Top Gun.
he's
Spoiler alert: he doesn't die in the first one, but you also have him kind of playing the Tom Skerritt role. Although they have said that other original members of the Top Gun cast are coming back, and also composer Harold Faltermeyer, who did the incredible Top Gun score that was rocked out by Steve Stevens, Billy Idol's guitar player.
Kenny Loggins coming back?
You got to imagine Danger Zone's going to be in
Kenny
there.
Loggins has to come through at least one song. But what I will
they're gonna bring him through.
They have to. But what I will say is that the thing that scares me the most about this is Joseph Kosinski, because
I'm with you.
Because he directed Tom Cruise in not
Oblivion.
Oblivion. Thank you. And I didn't love that movie. I thought it looked
I
gorgeous.
heard it wasn't good. I didn't see that.
No, I think what Kosinski does very well is his films are gorgeous, because he did Tron also. They look great. I mean, gorgeous. You fall in love with. I mean, Oblivion. You could look as like, just pause it each frame, and it's like paintings. But the stories have just been, these are going to be so excited.
The story needs to come first before all that.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm
I
hoping
can't
that's
give
what
Tom
happens here.
Cruise all the credit in the world either, because Tom Cruise, I know how passionate that guy is about cinema. He literally puts his life on the line every time he makes a movie. But
And enough is enough, though, with that.
I feel the same way.
Enough,
You're getting
Tom.
up there in years, you're going to
You're breaking
get
your
seriously
ankles
hurt.
and
The
shit
Mission
like that. Like
Impossibles are
enough.
really dope though. I mean, they're.
I know, but
they're good.
stop.
Right. You don't need
Stop.
to do
They're
it anymore.
de-aging Joe Pesci. You don't need to jump
right.
across a fucking building
I hear
anymore. Like, stop. They're making Joe Pesci and Bob and Al Pacino look fucking
You have a
20.
great point.
You're good, Tom.
Dude, they won't let The Rock now, because The Rock was supposed to fight in WrestleMania this year, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why they don't want him to do it is because obviously look how much money The Rock is worth.
Exactly.
And The Rock fought in WrestleMania like 2 years ago, and his whole team was like,
Oh, they're probably freaking
and
out.
so
on
he's
the
not doing it
sidelines.
again this year. And it's like, and here's Tom Cruise
Stop, Tom.
jumping from freight to freight car.
Stop.
So
Enough is enough. We know you
can do it.
put it all on the line, but you're gonna fucking kill yourself.
Right.
Stop.
Maybe that's why Top Gun Maverick has the best premise of any Tom Cruise movies, because he's going to be in a classroom. He's going to be teaching. He might get into an airplane at some
He's
point.
getting into an airplane.
It'll be the
It's
end.
against his will.
It's
He's
the
gonna
end. He's gonna-
kick
yeah,
some
of course.
ass. He's getting in the airplane.
It's like it would be Rocky V if he didn't, because Stallone should have fought in the ring at the end of the match, at the end of the movie.
You mean
He
against
didn't.
Tommy Guns when they fought outside the bar?
That was horrible. He should have fought in the ring.
I will say this about Rocky V. Some of the best moments in Rocky history the flashback with Mickey in the
Sure,
old gym.
sure.
Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you.
But imagine if that ends in the ring. It's a much better movie.
There is a supercut on YouTube that a fan put together of Rocky V, which it means nothing to the end of conversations today, but it's great. And it's only like 30 minutes, but it's like the best parts of Rocky V, and it's really,
All
really
five?
good. No, just Rocky V. They like shrunk the movie.
There's stuff in there.
That's what I'm saying. There's really good stuff, and you can catch on YouTube. I look at Top Gun Maverick as more of like a Creed situation where you're gonna have Tom Cruise come back, but you need a young star like a Michael B. Jordan coming in and being that new hotshot pilot.
And I'm pretty sure Milo Ventimiglia, the star of This Is Us, is Rocky Balboa's son in Rocky V.
No, Rocky Balboa. He's in Rocky V. Sage Stallone was his kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's in Rocky Balboa, which that
Rocky
one
Balboa.
hurt me.
Yeah. You didn't like Rocky Balboa. Oh,
That was the one that
I like
really.
I like that one.
That was the one where I can't say any moments. Like I went to go see it.
The speech where he gives is like, what's the whole thing when he's outside with
It's some
his
sort
son.
of Lombardiism where it's like it's not how many times you hit, it's how many times you can
And
get
keep
hit and
moving
keep on
forward.
moving
That's what winners do.
That is what winners do. And we are going to remind you guys at the end of this show, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us anything you want to talk about with Michael and Dean. We're going to save some time at the end for that. Right now, we have an interview that Perry Nemiroff was recently able to do with Anya Taylor-Joy of the upcoming movie Thoroughbreds. It's in theaters soon. Here's a quick clip right now.
Playwright feature directorial debut with Thoroughbreds, a twisted tale of two childhood friends, one who wound up a social outcast who's played by Olivia Cooke, and then Anya Taylor-Joy's character, a polished and ambitious teenager who isn't a big fan of her stepfather. Taylor-Joy is becoming more widely known for her exceptional work in darker fare like The Witch, Morgan, and Split. Thoroughbreds most certainly has a dark side as well, but it also features some super sharp wit and a fascinating dynamic between Cooke and Taylor-Joy's characters.
I think with this one, it was all about finding the right cast, and it's a story that is really sort of carried on the backs of its two leads. And as soon as we got Anya and Olivia Cooke on board with the project, I think there was enough kind of enthusiasm around them around town that translated into enthusiasm about the project and got us off the ground.
For people out there that want to break into the industry and have their first film with someone as talented as you, what do you need to see in their work in order for you to sign on?
I mean, I think I'm very much a people person, and I'm very instinctual. So I never think like, is this guy like, can I trust him? It's more of a, do we vibe? Are we making the same movie? And then with The Witch and with Thoroughbreds, the script itself was so strong, and they were both, going to be directed by the writer. And so I just thought they're obviously wicked smart. I love what they're going for. So it never entered into my brain to think that I couldn't trust them. I don't know.
I think my biggest fear putting it together was that it would feel like just a filmed play. And so we worked overtime to make sure that was not the case. And I think with cast and with any of our collaborators, the key was talking about other movies that had sort of tonal similarities and kind of triangulating between them. So we talked a lot about The Shining, which is a very contained movie like this one in a way. It's all one hotel while this is all one house.
I love this visual right now because I never made that comparison, but I can totally see it.
Amanda and Lily in The Shining.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
wow.
They both have two creepy young women, I guess, although they're much younger, creepier, and more dead in The Shining. But spoiler alert, I guess.
Spoiler.
But that movie has such a sort of contained story, but also such a sense of movement, and that was really important for this one. And Lyle Vincent, who's our cinematographer, has an amazing kind of natural eye and an amazing way of moving the camera. And we used a lot of Steadicam and really just wanted the audience to feel like they were kind of traversing this house, this sort of almost haunted house with these characters.
I'm super into backstory, and I don't know if you came up with much for these two characters, but do you ever imagine, what were they like in, I don't know, middle school? Like, did they have other friends? Did they have relationships? Things like that.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot, actually. We had a couple days of rehearsal, and we used most of that time kind of, collaboratively sketching out their past, because it is a story about two sort of former very good friends who've become estranged from one another and sort of come back together under these unusual circumstances. And so their past and their history together and all the baggage they were carrying is a huge kind of unspoken part of the story.
Of course, I want to bring up working with Anton because I'm a huge fan. There's a lot of fans out there. To have his legacy live on through a movie like this where he brought so much to that role, or at least from my perspective, I suspect that it was probably a strong character on the page, but there's a special spark that he brings to that really kind of warmed my heart watching this.
Well, I mean, Corey's script is, you know, I'm going to keep saying how wonderful it is, but Corey's script really was wonderful, but Tim could really have, in the hands of a lesser actor, I think, been more of a minor character, whilst what Anton brought to it was just this live wire electricity that hopefully contrasts really nicely between these two measured and quite subdued characters. It's been really lovely to be able to tour this movie because he's so unanimously loved, and that's really heartwarming to see.
You don't know where I come from.
Westchester.
Amanda.
You have no idea.
Probably no surprise, we have a lot of viewers and a lot of people in our office right now that are very excited about New Mutants. And I wanted to ask you about working with Josh because I'm a big fan of Fault in Our Stars, Stuck in Love, but neither of those projects necessarily say to me, oh, he's going to be great for an X-Men horror mashup. So what was it like working with him? What made him the perfect person to helm that film?
A, he's wonderful and lovely to work with, but B, he's a real student of horror. Like, it was quite funny because we'd walk around, he'd always be reading some book on films and he just inhales these things. But he's also just such an epic fan of the franchise, and I think that's the perfect person to direct a movie like this because he understands the responsibility that we have to the people that really care about these characters, and we want to deliver them with a movie that, you know, is different, is a riff on the superhero genre, but is also going to fulfill everybody's expectations and keep everyone happy.
Black Panther. What? Black Panther. Yes, yes.
That is Thoroughbreds. We're just here talking about Black Panther. And in the meantime, we are going to take some of your live Twitter questions so you guys can tweet us at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. I want to remind you guys, we also have a very special event coming up in the middle of March. On the Ides of March, March 15th, the movie Trivia Schmodown Live. It is going to be at the El Portal Theater in North Hollywood. You guys can get tickets right now at fullscreenlive.com. A huge headliner match with JTE versus Roca. And then our undercard is going to be the very entertaining Wildberries versus the Real Rejects. Kristian Harloff and I are going to be there as well, counting down the hours. Good sir.
Look, that event is going to be crazy. I already talked to the amount of just competitors that are going to be there just to watch it. 300 people. That's how many people it holds. Get your tickets now. There are a few left. So again, we're doing the meet and greet. I already talked. Classic Clark Wolf's going to be there. Rachel Cushing, Sam Levine. All these people will be there. So come and get your tickets. This is an event. We got Star Wars Celebration. Well, it's going to be that times 100. So get your tickets now.
So Dean Collins, Michael Rapaport, I look at you guys, this is a very 48 hours relationship we have here where you guys take turns being Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. How did you guys come together? How did you all meet? How did you guys start doing the McGregors together?
I guess I could start with that. So basically,
who do you want to answer first?
well, I mean, he looked at me when he was saying
that
it, so I
doesn't
just
mean
figured I would.
Go ahead, go start first.
I mean, what do you want to say about
Go
it?
ahead,
I'm not
finish.
You could look at it like he's featuring for the headliner.
Yeah.
So
Go
he's going
ahead.
to open and then you
Exactly.
close.
Start.
Can I
finish.
open?
Start first.
Thank you. So I played Michael's son on a TV show, believe it or not, on the now defunct show called The Ward Home on Fox.
Hashtag bring back the word home.
Yeah, hashtag bring back the word home. We're all about it. No, and this was like back in 2006.
Get fucking to it, man. Give him the fucking get to it, man.
2006, 2007.
Holy shit, yeah. Dude, don't like meander. Like, just say 2006.
Why don't you just say it, man?
No,
why
go
don't
ahead.
you just go? No, why don't you do it? Why don't you?
No, go ahead.
Actually, why don't
you took the lead? Finish
No,
it
why
up.
don't-
Finish
No,
this
you-
puppy. Bring the puppy home. He didn't even have to give us. He didn't even have to give us the fucking time to do it. We're ending the show. We're not starting the show. You don't want like the
said-
life and
you brought
times
the
of
hashtag,
Dean and Michael.
You brought the hashtag in.
Oh,
and
you
then
mean
took
hashtag
that-
bring back the word
So
home?
you're doing it right now.
I can see you guys being related.
Yeah, easily.
I'm like, I've been trying to drag this guy to do a DNA test with me.
I was going to say, it's like the Barbra Streisand thing.
I don't know. He could be the father. Like you very well might be the father.
He played my He played my son
I
on
played
a
your
show
father.
called The Ward Home. We always stayed in touch. When he was 14,
15.
This is when
16.
MySpace was like cooking. There was no, and they were like, you know, they wanted us to do stuff online. And we did these videos. He had actually done a cool video with him and his friend, the actor Logan Lerman.
And Bradley Cooper.
And,
That's
and
how
they
it
did
started.
a video, and they sort of, it was like a faux docu thing where Bradley Cooper was freaking out on them. On what was the show?
It was called Jack and Bobby on the WB when the WB was the WB.
And I saw it when he was a kid, and I was like, this shit is funny. So we were like, I want to do something like that. And I just, you know, we had an affection for each other always when he was younger. He has always been a fucking pain in the ass. Straight up. I mean, his parents, you know, like I told his parents, like, I feel bad for you.
What do you mean?
You know, when we were doing the word home, like, and they were like, I feel bad that you have to, you know, like,
They didn't
pretend
say
you're his
that.
mom.
They actually didn't
and
say that.
we remain in touch. And then, you know, we do our little online stuff, and people don't know if he's my son or whatever. And the McGregors is coming to a animated TV show.
That's
which
true.
is-
I mean, because you guys you're playing Conor McGregor, the UFC legend / boxing.
his
you know,
father and his
trying.
brother.
And his, no.
Conor McGregor Sr.
Yeah.
And I'm
Conor
his son,
He's
Liam.
Liam.
Liam
So,
McGregor.
But the dream is one day to be like, this is Conor McGregor Sr. And then we'll cut to it and be like, and this is actually Conor McGregor.
So,
I think we're gonna get Conor.
but
McGregor.
that all started with the Snapchat filter. I mean, they put a filter on Snapchat, and we were like, whoa! It was an eye opener. It really was like, wow, there's something.
It
here
was
with
it was
that.
it was totally my idea. I brought him into it actually, and this is
Was
what,
it-
like,
was it all
he's-
yours at the
it was
beginning?
Totally my idea.
Right.
Totally my idea.
That's
the whole
up for
thing was
debate,
my
so.
idea. He's come up with some good ideas, but the McGregors was totally
No,
my
we-
idea.
I think we
and I
got
have
it.
to write his script for
No,
that.
you that you actually didn't have
Is
to
it?
do.
I was
You
gonna
got-
ask, is it
no.
improv or do you
It's
guys?
No,
improv,
it's improv.
but he's not
It's
good
improv.
with the Irish
No.
accent. I'm fucking great.
Are you
I'm
kidding me?
fucking
I
great
told
with
you-
it.
I said,
I'm fantastic with the Irish accent.
this is my father. What is it? No, we could do it.
Hey, the people at home are like, we don't give
It's
a
Liam.
fuck. Talk about Star Wars. Just like when we leave. Star Wars. Black Panther 2. Star Wars.
Well, Black Panther actually jumped in because we talked about it. You hadn't seen it yet.
Yes, I
And
had it, but I saw it.
And did you like it?
I liked it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, all right.
I never, like, my mind meanders.
Mm-hmm.
This was sort of straightforward. I was able to wrap my hand around it, but if you gave me, like, a Black Panther, like, IQ test or a quiz, like, about the minutia and the details.
Yeah, but that's not, not everybody needs to know that
No, I
stuff.
mean,
but
yeah,
it's
the
overall
important
On
thing
this
is
show,
you
you
enjoyed
enjoy-
the movie.
But storytelling.
Yes.
And Ryan
Oh,
Coogler is.
His pacing as a filmmaker
Yeah.
is the thing that I think that it really impresses me. He has such a, he's so comfortable with pacing. He had great pace with Fruitville Station.
That was great.
Really impressive pace with Creed, and just like his pacing, like he is comfortable taking his time with stuff. And I mean, obviously, it's been a huge success and a cultural moment.
This movie's made like $900 million
Oh, dude, it's insane.
worldwide. I mean, it's insane, and it was so good. I mean, we saw it. It was
Yep,
great.
we saw it
walked
together.
out.
But yeah, Black Panther came out in February, so early in 2018. One of our Twitter questions today is from Luis Rivera, who says, "What are
Luis.
your movies that you're looking forward to later on in this year?" I know for me, I'm very excited about it's a hard thriller, A Quiet Place, with John Krasinski and
Oh,
Emily
right, right,
Blunt,
right.
where they can't make a sound or else these creatures are gonna know, and then they sick them, and it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic horror kind
I'm
of
curious
feel
about
to
that.
it.
I feel like he's doing his John Krasinski's doing his Ryan Reynolds and Amityville horror thing. He grew up the beard. He's a serious guy now. I'm curious about it, but that's how I felt watching the trailer. But the one that I'm honestly really looking forward to is this movie called Hereditary, with starring Toni Collette.
Yeah.
It's a horror film. It looks. I forget Nat Wolf's brother's name, Alex Wolf. He's actually really talented, and it looks great.
It was at a festival, and it got rave reviews.
Did it? I'm
People are saying
excited.
it's like the scariest horror movie
It
since
looks
The
like it.
Exorcist.
It looks frightening.
Really?
It
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
so good, and I'm also down to see Unsane. Is it
Yeah,
Unsane?
yeah, the Soderbergh.
Is that all shot on the iPhone?
Yep.
That is crazy. He's just like, there's
Steven
no excuse
Soderbergh,
to not.
he shot a whole film
the
on
whole
iPhone.
movie, and it looks so good. And he's just
That's
like that. There's no
crazy,
excuse for you not to make a film. Like
I agree. There's no excuse
that's the
for
message
you.
with that. It's like you could talk about it and this and that, but he picked up his iPhone, and this movie looks great.
I totally agree with that. In this day and age, there's like people go, what do I have to do to get into acting? What do I have to do to be a filmmaker?
Pick up your phone, that's it.
If you want to be in acting, like they've discovered, Justin Bieber was discovered on YouTube when he was a kid making music. Rappers have been discovered. Yo, do a monologue every day. We'll find you.
It helps
Like,
that he's Soderbergh doing it, but it looks great.
But he sets
But
the
I'm saying-
stage.
but
sets the
if-
stage.
But if you're a young
100%.
filmmaker and you have a story to tell,
Right.
I agree.
Here we go.
Well, more people after
I hear
this
you.
movie
Don't
will
put
be
that-
doing it.
all right.
For sure. Yeah.
Why you-
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm doing a
we're-
story.
We're
we
actually
get it. Put the.
making a movie right
But
now.
this is, but I'm shooting myself.
Oh,
yeah, but
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
it's.
Yeah.
It's nice.
God forbid you put me on your iPhone movie.
Boom.
That'd be a tragedy. I also think that a good thing for any young filmmaker, any young artist in general, is to get on, start doing a podcast. You can listen to Michael Rapaport's podcast, which is I'm not Rapaport.
No,
I am right.
I am Rapaport, the
Stereo.
worldwide phenomenon.
But he is not Rapaport.
I'm not.
So
you are.
I am Rapaport, the I am Rapaport stereo podcast. I don't know what kind of sound you have in this piss pot, but the I am Rapaport
Thank
stereo
you.
podcast.
Glad you're enjoying the new
is
studio.
is in stereo. And you can find it anywhere, everywhere. And we just had some great. We have Mark Ruffalo, Ellen Pompeo. We got the great Joey Coco Diaz coming on
love
later.
Joey.
That's a
It's
good one.
Shit talking extravaganza.
And can I just say one of my favorites was the Robert Patrick.
That was-
talking about the
We were
Terminator.
just talking about
and-
him yesterday,
And
yeah.
Sopranos episode he was in. That was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, so
for
I
real.
love doing the podcast, and I love coming to visit you guys, and I appreciate that we started the show saying how good I look,
Right.
and I feel like it's apropos.
Right.
You look fantastic,
You do.
and I'm glad that you're now germ-free after
Yeah.
our little
Yep.
snafu earlier in the day.
Stop fishing for the compliments, man. They said you
You
look
used
good.
apropos and the word milieu on today's show, and I
Dude,
think that's
sick vocabulary.
And you know that's not in my my normal vocab.
That's not your normal vernacular. You have
Yeah.
expanded your nomenclature, and I'm very, very impressed by you. You are not shallow nor pedantic. Kristian Harloff, where can the
Yes.
kids find you?
That's Kristian Harloff. Again, one more time, March 15th. Come see the live show. Gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to get these guys out there
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I'll be
so
there.
check it out.
Dean, you up for being a hype man at the movie
Oh
trivia show now?
man, I would love to.
that would
I'm
be
there,
dope.
man. For real.
Yeah.
I'm there.
I would love that.
Okay, cool.
For Kristian Harloff and the McGregors, Dean Collins and Michael Rapaport, I am merely Mark Ellis. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll be at South by Southwest this weekend and at Morty's Comedy Club in Indianapolis at the end of the month. You guys can get tickets at markellislive.com. See you tomorrow for a brand new Collider Movie Talk.
Thanks for having us, man. It was awesome. Cool.
Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.